Hello, this is Jonathan with Cleanerwatt, and today I wanted to bring you a video about the Tesla business acquisitions they have made in 2019. So this has been a very exciting year for many reasons. Of course, the Model 3 production has ramped up very nicely, and demand for Model 3 has been wonderful. We're looking forward to exciting things for Tesla in the future. But I wanted to talk today specifically about the three important companies that Tesla purchased this year. So we're going to go over in medium depth some information about each one of these companies. But before we do, we'll go into just a quick, short, basic information, what you need to know about each company. So the three companies we're talking about are Hibar Systems. They're based in Canada, DeepScale, and Maxwell Technologies. So the first one, Hibar, just on a real high-level view, their specialty is battery manufacturing. They also have a lot of stuff into automation technology. So when it comes to manufacturing batteries, they're an important business to have. The second one we're going to talk about on a broad view is DeepScale, and their specialty is the deep neural networks they have, and their team is working on, and also their computer learning software. So we'll learn more about that in a minute. And then the third one is Maxwell Technologies. Their specialty is that they manufacture ultracapacitors, and on the side, they also have some technology with batteries, which is really important, and that's what we're really going to talk about here. So the first one, let's dive in depth here for a minute to talk about Hibar Systems Limited. So you'll see there the picture, and that's one of their systems that is automated for filling. They do a lot of different applications, not only filling batteries with electrolytes, etc., and the stuff needed to do that, but they also do other applications in the industry. So there's just a basic picture of them there, acquired this year, really recently. So I went and pulled up information on an archived version of their website, and this is the statement that Hibar had on their website. They said, Hibar is a world leader in the development of battery manufacturing technology and is well known for its high-speed integrated battery assembly lines and filling systems. I thought that was pretty interesting because they have battery manufacturing technology that is automated, and it's also high speed. So we know Tesla is all about automation. They're all about high speed. And we know they've been trying to bring battery development and battery manufacturing in-house. So this is a really important acquisition for them. You also see that they have automated production of lithium-ion and other batteries. So I think that's pretty key, and that's a pretty obvious reason why they would want this company. You also see that they also mention on their website that Hibar is truly unique in its capability to provide the world's leading manufacturers with innovative, advanced automation solutions. And then at the very end there, it talks about high-speed assembly systems running in excess of 1,000 parts per minute. And so they have a really great automation system that they developed for making batteries, and they can do it very quickly, 1,000 parts per minute. So they can produce batteries at a rate in which I'm sure Tesla would need. And so that's a lot of great technology and a lot of great talent there with Hibar Systems. So why do I think that Tesla purchased Hibar? I think first of all because of Tesla's always want and need for vertical integration. So as you know, Tesla prefers to control as many aspects of its manufacturing process as possible, and this results in cost savings and also a lack of volatility due to supplier issues. We've all heard of supplier issues where maybe GM is trying to make a car and there's a certain part that holds up the whole process because of a manufacturer, or maybe worst case scenario, maybe a manufacturer goes bankrupt and then you can't get those parts anymore, and that can throw a wrench in your works there. And so that's important, vertical integration. Also, battery manufacturing. Tesla is seemingly trying to take battery manufacturing in-house, and Hibar has the systems that can do this, and they can help them with this, and so I think that's an important purchase for that reason. And then thirdly, automation. We all know, as I mentioned, Tesla is all about efficiency, cost reductions, and automation. And Hibar, that's what they are really well known for, is for that expertise in battery manufacturing automation. So that's a little bit about Hibar Systems Limited and what's important to Tesla, and I think that's a really good purchase, so I'm excited about that one. Next, I want to talk about another exciting company, which is DeepScale. They were also recently purchased this year, and it's an important company, and we'll learn more about it. There's a picture there off the website of their team, and they have a lot of talent and a lot of great engineers with their team here. So when I first heard about this particular acquisition, I heard a lot about DeepScale, and basically the main news media talked about that they were able to produce very efficient low wattage chips. That's kind of what I got from it. Is it seemed like everyone kind of talked about that they made these low wattage chips for self-driving cars, automation, deep learning, etc. But when I actually dove into the company and looked at their website and read things, watched a couple videos of their CEO and other people on their team talking about their technology, I realized pretty quickly, based on this graphic, I believe it shows it really well, that they don't actually make chips, but rather they have created a neural network software that they call Carver 21. So if you look at this particular graphic, you'll see it says your driving features, your sensors, your chip, and then they show that their piece of the puzzle is our software. And so they are experts in the software needed to make cars automated or to have autopilot in Tesla's case. And so their technology allows for any other manufacturer to take a chip that is their own chip, and maybe it's a very low wattage chip, a non-expensive chip, and use that with their software, which we'll talk about a little further here in a minute, that doesn't require a lot of power because of the neural network, and it allows it to process all the data that's needed very efficiently. And so I think that's an important thing there, that we're actually talking about software and a team here. So here's just a quick screenshot of Carver 21. This is just kind of visually looking at what does Carver 21, what does the software look like when it's running. And so it's kind of interesting that it's showing you different things that it is noticing and is tagging. It's marking different parts of the road. It's marking the lines. It's marking different cars in view. And this is kind of similar looking to what you'd see if you looked at the back end of a Tesla system. And so you'll notice it's a very similar kind of system. And so it fits well, I think, in with Tesla's systems and Tesla's way they are approaching autopilot. So some of the things that they're experts in the team here is deep learning and a neural architectural search. And this is kind of based on some of the language based on their website, which allows for low watt processors. And this is the key, I think, energy efficient deep neural networks. So we all recently learned that Tesla launched their own in-house made chip. I should say in-house designed. It's actually made by Samsung elsewhere in their manufacturing facilities, but they designed it in-house, and it's a very efficient chip compared to the previous chip that was used in Autopilot. But it still probably is using more wattage than they would want. And so this is key, I think, because the technologies from them that allow for this energy-efficient deep neural networks to work, this is fitting right in with Tesla's goals to always be efficient, to use as less energy as possible, and of course, to use as small a chip as possible. If you can get away with using a chip that uses less computing power, then it's easier because of a developed network. And so I think the team here is important for that. They also have something that they're calling Squeeze NAS. And this is an expertise within these deep neural networks that allows for less computing power to process everything that they need. And so there's some of the just basic technologies that they have and some of the basic expertise that come with the company DeepScale. So why do I think that Tesla purchased DeepScale? I think first of all, I think the more obvious reason they purchased them is because of the talent. And so Elon has talked about before that there is definitely a need for more talent in the AI, the deep learning, and computer automation and car automation technologies. There's a small pool of talent, and it's getting spread thin, as he said, throughout the different companies. And so anytime that Tesla could acquire a company that has talent, I think they will do so if it makes sense. And so they have a lot of experts. And as you know, too, Elon has not been very happy with Autopilot team in the past. And there recently were some big changes made in the Autopilot team, some people leaving, some new people coming. And so I believe that this fits into that narrative of Tesla wanting more experts and more engineers and more talent. And Hibar has the engineers, which with the machine learning experience that fits right into the way Tesla builds their systems. And then also, like within that kind of transitions into the shared vision. The shared vision of DeepScale was to be as efficient as possible, to have their systems and their networks that can run on the lowest wattage chips as possible, and that's also what I believe Tesla is working towards. So that fits in well, and those are some of the reasons why I think Tesla purchased DeepScale. Now, the third and final that we're going to talk about in this video is Maxwell Technologies, and I think this probably got the most attention in the news and in articles and in media in general, and I think this might be one of the most exciting purchases when we really talk about exciting, because of the implications of what it could mean for battery technology. So Maxwell Technologies purchased earlier this year and recently closed. So when we talk about what Maxwell Technologies is known for, based on their own words, they said that their primary focus is on ultra capacitors. But you'll notice that it's good for energy storage. They mention automotive use, renewable energy use, and backup power. Those are all things that, of course, Tesla is involved in. So just on a basic level, we'll dive into, I think, the more important reason that Tesla purchased Maxwell Technologies. But just on a side note, it's assumed that they probably were already working together, Maxwell and Tesla, and they probably need these ultra capacitors for their different systems in their cars, in their backup power systems, and in their solar system. So I think that's important there, and that allows them to bring that in-house, and I think that's important. But I think the real reason they brought them into the team is because of what they call their DuraBlue technology. And this is specifically talking about this with an ultra capacitor, but I'll show you in a minute. There's a paper that talks about this same process they have developed. They've used the same process for making batteries. But just really quickly, what this does is that they've patented a dry electrode formulation, and in their own words, it's a robust cell structure resulting in a cell that meets or exceeds some of the most demanding shock and vibration requirements of the transportation markets. And it says here further down, proprietary dry electrode process has many advantages over the wet electrode process used in competitor cells. And it talks about an advantage of long life, resiliency in these environments that are not so friendly. So they talk about on their website this dry electrode process. And you could look at that just on a basic level and just, okay, yeah, well, that applies to these ultra capacitors. But there was a paper that was put out, and I have the link down here, and I'll make sure I post that down in the description if you want to actually pull up this paper and read about it. But in this paper, they talked about a truly solventless dry battery electrode coating technology developed by Maxwell Technologies. So I think that's really key. This is a technology developed by Maxwell Technologies, and you'll see there that it allows for high energy density cells without compromising the physical properties and electrochemical performance. And so this is a step towards a solid state battery. It's not quite solid state, but it's a step towards that. And a lot of the issues as they've tried to move away from a wet battery chemistry to a dry battery chemistry is they've lost a lot of performance, and that's been a problem. But it appears that Maxwell Technologies has figured out a way to make cells more power dense, more energy dense. And so I think that's pretty important and pretty key there and very exciting. So here's from that paper, here's a couple shots from that picture, just showing this process of their dry powder mixture there with the carbon rolls and the binders, and then it shows their the rolls being laminated. So just a real basic picture. Once again, I'm not an expert in battery manufacturing. I don't completely understand everything that was mentioned in this paper, but here's the high-level view of what we kind of can get from it and what's important. So why do I think that Tesla purchased Maxwell Technologies? I think the first obvious is that they have the dry electrode process. And what's really key about this is not only efficiency, that it has a lot of less steps required. That makes the battery, it could make it 20% less expensive. I've heard some estimates to make these battery cells. And of course, that's key for getting the price of Tesla's car manufacturing down so they can be more profitable and also maybe result in lower price of cars. So I think that's really key. But also, you know what? When you actually dive into the process of making batteries, there are some pretty caustic chemicals used that require a lot of specialized expertise and also equipment and safety around that. And it gets rid of that process. So that's really key there, just for safety and not having to use any of those chemicals. But also they mention energy density improvements, and I've seen some numbers that people are estimating up to a 50% improvement in battery energy density. And why that's really key is if you're able to get a 50% improvement on battery density, that means you can reduce the size of your batteries, meaning they're less expensive, there's less in there, there's less weight, and you can still get the same range as you get today. This could allow something like the Roadster to not have to actually have two 100 kilowatt batteries. They might be able to get the same amount of power out of one 100 kilowatt hour battery as far as I'm talking about the size there. And so that's really important and really interesting. They've also been talking about, because of the robo-taxis and the Tesla network and really needing cars that are industrial grade, which their drive systems already are rated for 1 million miles, but the batteries maybe last, based on reports I've seen, 300 to 500,000 miles before they would be no longer as good, maybe below 70%. Because of degradation, so maybe losing 30 to 40% of their capacity after that particular range. They need something that is a little bit more robust. So they already have the best batteries, in my opinion, and based on what I can tell in the industry as far as the way they last, the lack of degradation. But this will allow for longer lasting batteries needed for this 1 million mile target that they're shooting for. So that's an important piece of that puzzle. And then also, like I mentioned, possible use of these ultra capacitors, not only for some of the ways they're probably already using them, but maybe for their high performance cars like the new Roadster coming out, the Semi, and also for the fast charging that's happening here with their new systems and new superchargers. So I just think this is all really exciting, and this is another one of the really exciting companies that Tesla has recently purchased. So I just wanted to just close this video with my basic take on what this means for Tesla and what you kind of need to know. So first of all, based on these three companies, Tesla has added a lot of talent and intellectual property to their team, and I think that's really important. They have also extended their technology lead, and that is important as well. They already are ahead of everyone else, and people are starting to copy some of their things, but now they've acquired these companies, and that allows them to leapfrog even further ahead. Another important factor is the manufacturing cost reductions because of the in-house production and efficiency. And so by taking some of these things like what Hibar Systems does and what Maxwell Technology does and some of those processes, that would allow them to take their battery manufacturing, complete control of that, and do that all in-house. Of course, in their Gigafactory, they have a joint partnership with Panasonic, and that's been an important relationship, but we have seen some instances of them going out to other battery suppliers, talking about how Panasonic is not producing batteries as fast as they need and as quickly as they would desire. And so there has been a little bit of a strain of that relationship, and it seems like Tesla is working towards getting their own battery manufacturing technologies. And so this is important for that. And then also, I believe this makes Tesla's goals now more in reach. Of course, Elon Musk is a visionary, and he is always pressing towards the future, and he has a lot of very big dreams that seem kind of impossible in some ways, but we're starting to see these things happen. We're starting to see the Autopilot get better with advanced summon and different aspects of that. We're starting to see better batteries coming, and the Model 3 has a really good 2170 cell. It's a really great system. It's a really good battery. It's lasting well, and this is going to allow them to even leapfrog that technology and get to the next and the better technology. So Tesla's goals of a 1 million mile battery, of a completely autonomous car, and a more affordable car than even the Model 3, which has been talked about, is definitely beginning to be within reach. This will allow more people to have electric cars. This will get more gas cars off the road. It will allow for cleaner air and a reduction in the CO2 emissions, which are leading to our current global crisis with our climate. So these are really important companies once again, and I do appreciate you watching this video and taking time to go through this with me. If you are new to my channel, of course, I have this channel this is a very new channel. If you're new, please consider subscribing so you can know about future content. And also, if you click that little bell icon, that'll also notify you when new videos are posted. Also, make sure if you have a question or if you have a comment, leave that in the comments below, and I'll be happy to answer anything that you ask there. So thank you so much.